Russell Brand, I love you, but you're wrong. Your interview with Jeremy Paxman was amazing. I loved every minute of it, and if anyone hasn't seen it yet, you need to check it out now. It's definitely worth the time. Russell, you're right. The current system is broken. You're right. Our political representatives are actually just looking after themselves. I even agree with your stance on voting. Why should we be forced to vote for one of the available candidates, even if none of them actually represent us? Why should I have to give my democratic authority to someone from a list just because the system says so? The ruling class are completely disconnected from the rest of us. Political elites and corporate elites are in bed together, feathering each other's nests and scratching each other's backs, and people like you and I are expected to just play along and keep the system going. Something is very, very wrong, and a lot needs to change. I agree. And yet, the solution that you've proposed in that interview is worse than the current problem. You're right about the problem, but you're wrong about the solution. You said that the solution is a socialist egalitarian system based on the massive redistribution of wealth. No. Any government, administration, whatever you want to call it, with the power to enforce a redistribution of wealth will become worse than the current system, which we both agree is pretty damn bad. The key is to understand that governments are a kind of corporation. It's not governments versus corporations. It's not even governments in bed with corporations. It's actually governments are a kind of corporation. But they're the worst kind of corporation because they've given themselves the power of monopoly over a given geographical area. And they will use financial manipulation, coercion, intimidation, or outright force and violence to maintain that monopoly within the area that they claim as theirs. Anyone who tries to buck the system soon finds themselves face to face with this angry corporation called the government. And if they don't fall into line pretty quick smart, they're going to regret it. We see this happening all over the world all the time. Governments are huge, aggressive corporations who will do anything to protect their monopoly. Socialist governments who redistribute wealth, like what you're talking about, have been tried many times in many places and in many forms all over the world. They usually end up killing the very people they're supposed to be helping, literally killing them. According to researchers at the University of Virginia School of Law, the death toll from government in the last 100 years stands at more than 260 million dead people, killed by their own government. Now, most of those governments have been one form or another of socialist government, and all of them have been big, aggressive governments with a monopoly on force inside their own geographical area. 260 million people. Socialist governments are big, powerful governments. They have to be in order to be able to force the redistribution of wealth. But big, powerful governments soon forget that they're supposed to be serving the people, and they grow to become the people's masters instead, with deadly results. The solution to big corporations and big government being in bed together is not to create a different kind of big government. It's to cut the government down to size. These international banking cartels, huge out-of-control multinationals, and massive corporations depend on government favors to be able to do what they do. Big government and big business are actually helping each other out. So the solution is to cut the government down to size. Once the government has been returned to being a small servant instead of a huge master, politicians will no longer be able to hand out favours and look after their corporate donors. They simply won't have the money or the power. We can take away the slush funds that they've been using for all their backroom deals and ridiculous corporate welfare. The less power a government has, the more power people have. If you really want to empower people to live their own lives, then you need to take power away from the government. The solution is less government, not a different big government. Russell, my name's Topher, and like you, I am very optimistic about the future. But I believe the key is to minimise the role of government and maximise individual liberty. And I ask you to consider the possibility that this might be a better way to go. I'd love to talk with you about it more, so if you feel so inclined, feel free to get in touch. I certainly hope that within our lifetimes, we both see things get much, much better than they are today. For everyone else, thanks for watching. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll talk to you again soon.